All right, boys and girls, children of all ages. Seattle pandemic shutdown, day 23 by my count. And again, it's actually been longer than that because we had a voluntary soft lockdown that started before the official lockdown mandated by Governor Inslee. So, people getting arrested for not wearing masks in public, protests being shut down, and then the giant looming question that I've tried to chip away at, the reboot. When do we reboot? How do we reboot? What is it going to look like? What is it actually going to look like when we reboot? Will more people get sick after the reboot? That seems to be the trend. People go out, move around, get in contact with each other again, and the virus can now spread around again. On the other hand, I feel like we can go on the offensive with my method. Active sanitation. Everyone needs to carry around a method of sanitation. Now, I did see something the other day that I thought was at least it was actually a little suspicious, but I looked into it and it is a thing. It was like a handheld UV ray gun that can sanitize surfaces that are safe to shoot the UV rays at. So, like, you're not supposed to use it on your skin because that'll burn you, I guess. But you can use it on surfaces. Now, if that isn't just some gimmicky thing that I saw on the internet, then cool. That's not even a liquid or wipes or something that you have to like carry around. You just, you carry your phone around, you carry your little ray gun. But anyways, rambling. Actively sanitizing surfaces as you go about your day. Did you see someone clean it? Then clean it again. Like, think of chain of transmission. You have to think about how it gets from another person into you, or from you into another person. And I feel like it's not that hard to break the chains. That's hand washing. That's sanitizing surfaces. That's masks. That's social distancing. But in a deeper sense, that's a method. That's one of the methodologies we have to keep in mind moving ahead. My question is more about the economics and financials of this thing. Like, I got my Trumpbux today. Our Trumpbux is supposed to reboot the economy. It's a stimulus. So, like, businesses that have shuttered are gonna throw open the doors, kick out all the homeless that have taken it over, which is definitely gonna be a thing in some places, and then scrub down their business and buy their inventory back, and then open the Mexican restaurant back up and hire back all their employees, and the clientele are just gonna show up. I mean, don't get me wrong, new restaurants open, gambling on this concept. A lot of capital gets sunk into restaurants, and usually it doesn't get a lot back. But established existing businesses, I mean, what's the incentive to restart it? Is you just hope the clientele will come back? I don't know. You base it on what your takeout orders have been during this thing? I don't know. And then the entire supply chains, right? Are we in fact going to take our supply chain and manufacturing away from China and bring it back here? And how long is that going to take? What does it take to make an iPhone factory here? And what about all the cheap junk that people get from China? Little appliances and phone cases and electronic accessories. I know that I've bought phone charging cables and stuff like that come from China. Are we going to start making that stuff here too? Or is it just the medical stuff? Because I said a couple years ago, maintaining a domestic manufacturing base is a matter of national security. And I mean that to mean that any supply chain dependency we have makes us vulnerable if we don't have a means of producing it domestically in a relatively short amount of time. And what that means is, like in World War II, we had, what was it, Rockola, record players and jukeboxes. We had them making M1 Garands. We had IBM making M1 Garands. We were like, hey, we need a couple million rifles. You guys have the tools and machines to do it. Sort of like Ford with these ventilators. You just change the specs of the thing you're making and prototype some stuff and then start mass producing them. But that's with giant government incentive to do that. And it's a direct kind of command. It's almost a command economy. It's a small command economy. It's a direct, you make this stuff by our mandate for the immediate crisis at hand. And, you know, these companies were allegedly sort of just voluntarily tooling up to do this stuff. They didn't really need direct orders. But how does that play out for the rest of the economy? Is everyone going to feel confident enough to go out to the brick and mortar places that have now closed and purchase from them enough to get all the businesses to hire all their employees back and get everybody working again? It's not just that we are allowed to go outside again or gather in groups again. It's getting people back to work, which is partially also why, like the liquidator thing, actively sanitizing. Like I said, we need to have a cultural moment about this thing. Like, we need to call it like the Great Cleansing, or spring cleaning. Like I guess like a parade is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, we need to gather. Holy shit. We need to gather like in the city centers, and everybody walks and sanitizes things. Volunteer even. Go into businesses and help them clean their business. Sort of show everybody that it's safe again. And then we'll see if it is. Does that sound too crazy? That might be a little crazy. Might be going too far. Maybe everyone's just gonna rush back out and get back to normal. Maybe everyone's so hungry for normalcy that they're just gonna go back to normal. But I don't know how it can just turn back on. It doesn't just, it's not a light switch. Anyways, I don't have any answers. Well, I have one answer. Actively sanitize, right? Get yourself a spray bottle. Fill it with alcohol or bleach or whatever. But, alcohol is a little less harsh than bleach, depending on which surfaces you're spraying it on. Just keep that in mind. And don't drink it. You can't drink isopropyl. Do that. Help break the chains of transmission and feel more confident going about your day and keeping yourself and others safe. Carry it around with you. I know it might be dorky, but just do it. Anyways, keep that in mind. Day 23, as we move on, we are going to deal with more and more craziness. But it can get better. All right. Remember, I go out so you don't have to.